The question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week.
Now that the first presidential debate has concluded between President Biden and Donald Trump, my assessment is, on the one hand, you had Donald Trump, a ranting, raving lunatic who lied throughout the entire thing. And on the other hand, you had President Biden, who missed many major opportunities, who significantly underperformed and frankly failed to show up. There were some moments where President Biden pushed back, but overall, while President Biden told the truth and tried to answer the questions to the best of his ability, he did not nail the moments that he could have. I think that's an understatement. But meanwhile, if you were watching Donald Trump, I don't think that instilled confidence. I mean, he seemed like a ranting and raving lunatic. My overall assessment right now is I'm not in a panic mode. I'm certainly, I think, disappointed that there were missed opportunities by President Biden. If you saw the live stream that we did, you'll get my more fulsome recap. But I want to just show some, I think, critical moments where, for me, we can talk about how the individuals performed from a optics standpoint. And don't get me wrong, optics are important, but I think the American people also care about substance and facts and our democracy and values. And I think they recognize that someone who's ranting and raving like Donald Trump did versus President Biden, I think, who was certainly struggling to answer the questions, but did so nonetheless with honesty and attempting to actually answer the questions. I think people can see the distinction for themselves. So take a look right here. This is one moment where Donald Trump talks about not having sex with a porn star. Play this clip.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was
And that's despite the fact that Donald Trump was just convicted on 34 separate felony counts of falsifying business records related to that. Then there was this question. Will you accept the results of the election, which we played at the beginning of this clip, and Donald Trump refused to answer that question. Let's play it.
The question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week.
Donald Trump then claimed that everybody, every scholar, everybody wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade and turn the issue over to the states. Play the clip.
51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they...
On ending Roe v. Wade, Donald Trump says it was a great thing, and President Biden responds. Play the clip.
What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact that...
Then Donald Trump talked about January 6th, and he claims that on January 6th, he says there were some people who were just so innocent. Here, play this clip.
President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the...
Donald Trump also claims that America was most respected in the world on January 6th. Play this clip.
On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
This was one of the better lines from President Biden, where he said that the only person on the stage who's a convicted felon right now is Donald Trump. Play the clip.
And Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted.
And then President Biden asked Donald Trump, will you denounce the people who attacked the Capitol? Play this clip.
Said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a...
Here's Donald Trump ranting and raving about saying that he hasn't done anything, and then attacking President Biden and saying, I did nothing wrong, but Biden's the criminal. Play the clip.
He could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have...
President Biden then talks about the source of where the inflation originally came from with Donald Trump's policies. Play this clip.
Going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you.
And here you have President Biden talking about Donald Trump's competency. Play this clip.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America.
Trump then brags about passing a cognitive exam. Play this clip.
For President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter.
President Biden then talked about how not a single court in the country found in favor of Donald Trump when he tried to challenge the results of the 2020 election. Play this clip.
Again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
And here President Biden talks about how the presidential historians who voted the list of top presidents found that Donald Trump was actually one of the worst, if not the worst, in all of American history. And you can see this got under Donald Trump's skin right here.
One, Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history, one through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted.
You know, and again, I thought there was so many missed opportunities, though, here for President Biden when Donald Trump was talking about overturning Roe v. Wade. I think President Biden could have said, look, Donald Trump, and I want everybody to listen. What Donald Trump is saying is that he's okay with states tracking women's periods, arresting women's doctors, throwing women in jail, with the most extreme and draconian abortion restrictions that exist. I think President Biden could have talked about how Donald Trump sings songs with the January 6th insurrectionists and the most violent insurrectionists Donald Trump says he's going to pardon. I think President Biden could have mentioned that Donald Trump would trust Vladimir Putin over our intelligence agencies and would take us out of NATO. I think there was a lot of moments where President Biden could have pushed back. And look, I've heard lots of people talk about the moderators and say the moderators weren't great and the format wasn't great. I mean, if you've watched the video that I did in the post-debate coverage, you know, my view was, I don't really buy into all of that, just being totally blunt that the moderator wasn't good. Or look, a skilled debater would push back on Donald Trump more forcefully on those points. I still think it's important that we focus on the substance of what was said. We focus on our democracy. We focus on the values that were being spoken and what President Biden was trying to actually talk about issues while Donald Trump just spewing kind of nonstop lies. We're in June. We still have a lot of time to go. I think it is, important to also reflect on the fact that I don't think someone watching that Donald Trump endeared himself to independence. I also don't think that President Biden won over independence or won over people, with that. But my view is that it certainly could have been a better performance from President Biden. I think that's an understatement. But we will keep you posted every step of the way. We'll evaluate all of the data here and go back and watch our full post-debate coverage where you can see everything that went down. And I think we had a very, honest and difficult conversation about what went down. It was not great. Nonetheless, President Biden, I think, decent, caring, compassionate, trying to tell the truth. Donald Trump totally lying, but the President Biden who needed to show up didn't show up. It's what it is. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.